Alright, Con Clan, more information about Season 3 of Marvel Rivals has just been released, so we are going to watch, read, react, and discuss. Let's get into it. Alright, we are going to start with the Jean Grey trailer, which would have been a part of the last video had the devs actually dropped the trailer the same day instead of the next day. But anyway, better late than never. Let's see what Jean's got going on. Ignite the battle! Duelist Phoenix. Ooh, look at that fire. That little sprite thing is interesting. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, so she has the sprite that follows her? She just has fire? Okay, that's her primary fire. Alright, so she's a ranged, you know, duelist. Ooh. Ooh, did she back? Did she jump back? Oh, hold on. Feels like a little bit of Johnny action in there. I mean, fire characters, it would be similar, right? We're going to watch the whole thing through, and then we're going to analyze it. Whoa. This feels better than Johnny. This feels like Johnny 2.0. She can't exactly fly. She can, okay, she can glide. It's like a combination of Johnny and Wanda. Ooh. I like those colors, though. I like pink and magenta purple. Interesting. Okay. Oh. 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 Yo. Did she just run through them? She just ran through them. Hold on, hold on. All right, let's go back through this again. Let's analyze it a little bit, little by little, little by little. That's insane. Hold on. Hold on. All right. We do that. I am the Phoenix. Okay. Here's her primary. Yep. So it's like a mid-ranged attack. Okay. That's fine. Oh, and then she has a shift backwards. All right. Okay. Alright. Seems like a pretty standard, like, you know, attack. She has 12 charges. What was that, though? That's different, right? Okay, so let's... Okay, that's one of her abilities. Boom, boom. Okay, let's watch it one more time. I'm watching what happens here and what happens here. Okay, so that's just like an AoE attack. A bunch of fire at once. Interesting. Okay, and then she has her little, you know, burst flight stuff. Okay, whatever. And then she just used that ability again, right? So shift, and then E. Yeah. We need to watch this in slow-mo. But I want to also go back here when she does the shift back, right? So you can just shift with it to get out of trouble. But it also makes you fly. It does make you fly. Okay, so she pushes back. And then you can fly with it, probably if you hold it. Okay. Now, this is what I want to see. I want to go to playback speed, and I want to do this very slow. I want to see exactly what's happening here, and you all are going to want to as well. These next 5 seconds are going to feel like forever. Okay, so she's using her regular attack. The primary marks people. Do you see that? Okay, so she's hitting them, right? All right, look at this now. Only one. Now they're marked. You see that? Okay. So her primary marks them above their heads, letting her do her E attack. Right? Is it E or is it left click or is it right click? It's right click. So her secondary attack explodes everybody that has fire markers on them. So this is like a combination of Spider-Man, Human Torch, and a little bit of Wanda in there. That's very, very interesting. Okay. So you can really do some AoE. You want to hit them with your primary, and then you want to use your secondary to explode them. That kind of makes sense. Alright, and then let's look at her ult again. You can fly through people and damage them, and then you can just smash onto the ground. Okay. That's interesting. Alright, okay. Okay. Okay, so, what is Jean Grey? She seems like a mid-range duelist. She's not long-range and she's not close-range. She seems kind of mid-ranged. She definitely seems like she's in a range where she would be able to box with characters like Ultron and Iron Man, so she might be a little bit of an answer to the flying meta because each new character that comes out is kind of an answer to the last character. But she seems very interesting in a couple of key ways, right? first being that she seems like a combination, or she has some similar abilities to Spider-Man, Human Torch with the fire, obviously, and Wanda, right? There's no auto-aim. I've seen some people comparing, and that's just because she has an ability that lets her, like kind of teleport and kind of glide, but she's also similar to Hela in that way as well. She looks like she's going to be a mid-ranged AoE fighter that can put out a lot of damage, but it takes a little bit of setup, like Black Panther, like Spider-Man, right? You got to do the step, you got to get your markings, and then you can do damage. But it's interesting that we now have a character that does marking and damage that isn't a diver, because she's definitely not a diver. So it's cool to see some of those gameplay mechanics put into more of a poke character, or even more of a mid-range, because poke can kind of be long-range, kind of mid-range, but as we're going into a meta that's more poke-oriented again, especially with, you know, more flyers being on the field, it kind of makes sense to be able to mark somebody and then do damage to them, even if you're not exactly in the range anymore. It's a nice way to kind of get around the problem of your range and where exactly you can fight. So it's an interesting mechanic. I think she's going to be good. I think she's going to be strong. It seems like at this point, for new characters, they are starting to kind of remix characters or character traits and abilities that are already here in new and interesting ways. There's only so much of that they're going to be able to do before it becomes derivative, right? So we definitely want to introduce more mechanics into new characters as well. So then when you start to mix and match those mechanics with those new characters, then it doesn't get stale. But they're releasing a character a month now. There's inevitably going to be some staleness or some characters that feel pretty similar. But good on them for doing what they can. I guess some characters are going to put more time into than others. But all in all, I'm excited to play her. She doesn't blow me away, but we'll see what happens when she actually releases and we actually get to get our hands on her, right? But all in all, I would give this presentation, her abilities, like maybe a 7 out of 10. 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Now let's hop over to the other thing that I want to talk about, which is all these patch notes. Let's see what we got going on. For Season 3. Greetings, rivals. Even heroes need a little fine-tuning. We've zapped, buffed, and balanced. Let's see what's changing in Season 3.0. Adjustments. Vanguard. Emma Frost. No, my girl. One of my favorite tanks. Looks like the White Queen is trading a bit of offense for more glam. Her damage and survivability in diamond form are taking a slight hit. Okay, not too upset about that because diamond form is not the form you're in most of the time anyway. That's probably good because she is really tough to kill in diamond form, but also she's a tank. She needs to be tough to kill. I understand why they did that. I'm a little disappointed as somebody who likes to play Emma, but like as somebody who wants the game to be balanced, not too upset about that. Reduce telepathic pulse damage at 99 energy from 120 a second to 110 a second, and from 150 a second to 140 a second at 100 energy. That's only a small nerf. Like it's gonna impact though. Like it's because it's per second, right? So it's going to be noticeable, but it doesn't kill the character. My only question is, if she's taking a hit in her survivability as well, then why is she also taking a hit in her damage? Like, why are you nerfing both things? You know what I mean? I feel like as a character, you want to focus on like one or the other, right? You shouldn't just be getting everything nerfed. I didn't think her damage was overpowered, but like if you're going to take down her survivability, you need to let her damage stay strong. If you're going to take down her damage, you need to let her survivability stay strong. I don't understand nerfing both. So reduce diamond form damage reduction from 35% to 25%. Reduce the energy cost of psionic seduction. Ultimate ability from 3700 to 3400. Okay, so that's the balance. She's taking a hit to basically her entire kit, but you're going to get her ultimate a bit faster, and that brings a lot of utility, especially if you use it on the support, so they cannot use their support ultimates to get out of your ultimate or anybody else's ultimate that you're going to trigger in conjunction with yours, because her ultimate is really good as a conjunction ultimate. Kind of like Groot's ultimate is really good if you have a duelist ultimate ready to go. Hers is kind of the same. Block the block the healers so that when somebody else does their actual damage ult, which her ult still does a decent amount of damage, but when somebody does a real damage ult, nobody can stop you. That's kind of how you want to do it if you can. All right, let's look at the Thing. Another one of my characters. We're not afraid to say it. It's clobbering time. Now with smoother moves and more utility. Time for more pain with your brothers and sisters in arms. Oh, so he's just getting straight buffs. Let me make this bigger for y'all, by the way, so y'all can kind of see it. I can read it, but y'all can see it. Oh, we don't want to read those yet. The Thing. All right. New ability, Battle Blitz. The Thing leaps toward enemies, gaining 25% damage reduction. I imagine it's going to be the same button as jumping to allies. Leap targeting distance to enemies is 20 meters. Stone Haymaker, new effect, knocks down flying enemies. So they kind of gave him the same thing Hulk can do, except for Hulk can always jump. You know, it's just a standard ability with, like, no cooldown, basically, except for the time it takes to charge. But for the Thing, it's an auto target, so it makes sense that you can't do it all the time because it's going to be pretty easy to hit. But that's good. We need to fight the flying meta, not take it away. I like how the meta shifts and changes, and you should too. We're going to talk about that in a different video, so please subscribe if you haven't so you can hear more of those awesome discussions, and a lot of those usually come with gameplay, right? So if you want to see more fun stuff in the background, you're going to see that too, just not in this video because we're reading patch notes. Anyway, it's a little bit more like Hulk, and the Thing was an answer to Hulk anyway. By the way, that's an awesome combination. If you have not done the Thing and Hulk, like, as your two tanks, try it. It's amazing. But that's cool, taking out flyers. I'm happy with these changes. That's really cool. Giving him a new ability, that's awesome. That they're willing to actually kind of, like, change kits in some very noticeable ways. Like they did with Rocket. They kind of changed Sim completely. They kind of did a similar thing to Jeff, just not as much. But let's go on to Venom. Venom's got a stickier grip. His control after diving is now slightly more terrifying. Okay. So, better control when diving or after diving. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that, but more control is better. Increased cellular corrosion, enemy slow effect from 50% to 25%. That's good. That's really good because, like, people be getting out of your tendrils way too fast, and it's like the ability is almost, it's not useless, but, like, it's hard to do well. Those are some really good changes. I like both of these changes. I understand these changes, but I don't like them because I love Emma. Anyway, let's move on. Human Torch. Flame on, but mind the heat. Johnny's getting a team-up anchor effect, but a little less firepower to balance things out. Johnny didn't need balance. He hasn't been that strong in the meta. Reduced fire cluster damage per projectile from 6 to 5.5. That's not terrible. Reduced supernova activation shockwave damage from 80 to 75, and fire tornadoes damage over time from 120 a second to 110 per second. That's a good change. His ult was a little overpowered. I do admit that, so that's a good change. Add team up anchor bonus, 5% damage boost, and I feel like that almost negates that, right? So he kind of hasn't changed at all if you have the team up. If you don't have the team up, these are good changes. These are definitely good changes. That's interesting. They're basically saying that, like, if you want the full power of Johnny, you gotta do the team up. That's interesting. Okay. Alright. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Because it makes you have to play heroes that work well together if you want the full power. So you have to optimize either, like, playing somebody you play really, really well, or, like, the team up. And then again, the team ups are kind of there, so, like, if you're playing characters that aren't as familiar with, you can still kind of compete because now you have extra abilities or extra damage or just boosts, and you're being rewarded by playing characters that, like, do well together. So, like, that's awesome from a general gameplay design standpoint. But I don't love that Johnny isn't just completely nerfed, right? Like, he's nerfed unless you have the team up. So it's kind of like he hasn't really changed at all. But if you don't have the team up, I do like the nerfs, especially the ultimate that needed it. Iron Man. Iron Man cannot get out of the spotlight. He has been in and out of the hokey pokey of permanent ban like every season. He's in, then he's out. He's in, and then he's out. You know, it's like, and now he's gonna be out again because he's been nerfed, right? Even though that, let's see what these changes actually are, right? Tony's slightly powering down with reduced damage output and a longer wait for his ultimate. That's good because his ultimate is ridiculous. It is blockable, but somehow Iron Man in his ultimate, he always is tricky enough so that even when you hear it coming, you don't see it coming. even though you're trying to dodge it. So I like that it's going to take longer. Reduce the first 2 repulsor blast hits from 40 to 35, from 50 to 45, 1 armor overdrive. Increase energy cost of invincible pulse cannon from 28. Wow, that's a big change. That is 600 points. Wow. Okay, so Iron Man is out of the meta now. He is no longer going to be permabanned. Cool. Interesting. I didn't really think his damage overall needed a nerf. I don't necessarily agree with this, but I do agree with this. I do agree with the ultimate. Mr. Fantastic. The Stretchy Genius gets slightly less tanky in this inflated state. Reduce inflated state bonus health from 400 to 350. I love that, and I hate it at the same time. Here's why. It's really cool to basically have a duelist that's an off tank, but also duelists should not be that tanky, right? But if you're running a single tank build or team, but you also have Mr. Fantastic, you're usually not worried as much. I'm okay with this change if Mr. Fantastic's like the only kind of in-between hybrid character. If we're getting more hybrid characters, which I kind of think, at least until these nerfs, Emma was one of them. She was kind of like a hybrid between like she was like a tank that could do some damage, while Mr. Fantastic was like a damage dealer that could tank, right? I want more characters like this, and if we get more characters like this, then Mr. Fantastic needs to be buffed back, I would say. But since he's kind of the only one that really kind of fills multiple roles, it's okay that he's getting these nerfs for now. I think that makes sense for the present, you know? But if Hulk is any indication, if they buff him, they're not going to just give him his bonus health back. They're going to buff him in a different way. Probably more towards damage. So I don't know if they necessarily want these hybrid characters, but since they're releasing characters every month, like we just talked about, we need hybrid characters so these new characters don't get stale. So I would recommend more characters like Mr. Fantastic. Personally, I think it would be good for the game. Anyway, let's get to Namor. The Submariner surges forward with smoother aim and slightly sharper tridents. Increased trident of Neptune projectile damage from 70 to 75, projectile speed from 120 m a second to 150 meters a second. Increased Wrath of 7C projectile speed from 120 meters per second to 150 meters per second. Okay, so more of a speed increase so he can hit his targets more. That's interesting. Okay. They did increase the projectile damage, which I'm okay with. If they're doing that, I feel like they should have nerfed his turrets a little bit, like just slightly, because Namor's not about his trident. It's about the turrets. He's not a poke character as much as he's an anti-dive character, you know, and he's kind of poke because of his turrets, but like his turrets are his main thing, and I know that his primary needs to do some damage. I'm okay with it moving faster. I'm not okay with it getting more damage if they're not going to nerf his squids, because his squids are a problem, especially with the Hulk team up. I would know, I main Hulk, but like he does so good with those that I don't think he needed an increase in his normal projectile damage unless they slightly decrease his squids. And maybe give them a little more health if you still want the squids to be like, you know, a good part of the gameplay, a little less damage, but maybe they'll last a little longer, which I feel like would be a good balance, because the squids do a lot of damage and are super annoying, but only if you don't have teammates that like destroy them. So if you're running like a dive team, he's terrible because he is anti-dive. If you're running a poke team, it's not as bad. So I guess I understand, since we're out of a dive meta now, why they made these changes, because we are kind of more of a poke meta again. So that does make sense for the times. But in general, if you're gonna increase this, then maybe nerf his squids a little bit, or in some way. Wanda's ultimate just got a little more Hextra. Reduce max slow rate during rally ratio of ability charge period from 35% to 20%, increase damage from 7 to 850. No, 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 no. Okay, listen, for some reason it's been super easy to dodge Wanda's ultimate lately. Maybe I'm just getting used to it into the game or whatever. So I understand why they did this, but this is not... Okay, so at high level play, it won't matter because you're going to set up a scenario where Wanda's going to be successful no matter what, right? And she's not just going to throw it out there or Hail Mary it like a lot of people at the lower elos do. This is definitely for low elo / quick play. This is not for high rank or competitive, and I don't like it. Not a lot of people play Wanda at the highest level. With the people that do, this just got worse, and her ult was ridiculous in the first place. But because now we have characters like Emma that can block it, I guess I kind of get it, right? I get it, and we still have plenty of tools to stop her, but anytime Wanda gets a buff, it makes me angry because I just do not like Wanda. She's so annoying. She's not even good, but she's so annoying. Anyway, let's just move on. That's how I feel about it. Alright, Spider-Man! That web-headed menace! Web Warriors rejoice! Spidey loses his team-up anchor bonus but gains a new team-up ability and a bit more bite. Increase get over here! Kick damage when pulled to enemies from 50 to 55, unnecessary. Increase spider power mid-air damage from 50 to 55, also unnecessary. Increased amazing combo damage from 55 to 60, also unnecessary. Spider-Man is so annoying. He did not need any buffs at all. He is really hard to play, but once you know how to play him, he is ridiculous. He didn't need this. He didn't need it at all, especially with the new team-up ability. He doesn't need it. I don't understand why they're buffing him at all. I love Spider-Man. He's one of my favorite characters of all time, but gosh freaking darn is he a problem in this game, and he did not need any buffs. Anyway, moving on. The Punisher. Frank's turret is losing some sting. His ultimate is going to need more juice. Reduce calling turret projectile damage from 12 to 10 and decrease the spell field damage from 12 to 10. Makes sense. His turret was kind of a menace. Increase energy cost of Final Judgment. Ultimate ability from 3400 to 3700. I agree with that as well. The thing about Punisher is that he's really good if you play him right and if you play him careful. A lot of people Leroy Jenkins him and suck because of it, especially at lower elos. So, but also he's also hard to deal with at lower elos because people don't know how to play as well. And higher elos, when you're effective with him, he can do a lot of damage. So I actually agree with these. I agree with both of these. I have no problems there. Winter Soldier. Bucky's getting a little more dangerous from downtown. Adjust roster stern damage fall off maximum at 40 meters from 60% to 70%. Doesn't change anything except for the fact now he's going to be a bit more effective in the poke meta. Looks like they have a soft spot for Bucky. I'm fine with that. Doesn't bother me at all. The thing that's annoying about him is his daggone grapples, so this doesn't change that at all, so whatever. Wolverine. Logan's control frequency is taking a slight hit as he now needs more time to sharpen those claws between leaps. It's adamantium. It never needs to be sharpened, but whatever. Increase fair leap strike duration from 4 seconds to 5 seconds and increase its cooldown from 12 seconds to 15 seconds. Okay, so the leap is longer, but it has a longer cooldown. Okay. Higher risk, higher reward. So they want you to be able to still do it, but do it less often. And considering Wolverine is a menace when he's played right, which every character should be, right? But that's beside the point. I agree with this. I don't have any problems with it. Not a big change either. Strategist. Invisible Woman. Sue's healing is a little more reliable. Now that's fantastic. That's awesome. Increase orb projection healing on launch from 40 to 45 and damage from 20 to 25. Reduce healing on return from 40 to 35 and damage from 20 to 15. That is good because a lot of people, including myself, don't really do the whole shoot at the feet thing to do the bounce like double hit anyway. So now that we can actually aim with her correctly because it's going to do more damage on initial contact. That, I think, is really awesome. I like that. Sue doesn't really need any more changes beside that. She's not overpowered, but she's really solid. So I'm cool with that. I love this. I think that's really cool. I think that's really good. Loki, the god of mischief, needs slightly more energy for his ultimate because he's been up to too many tricks. Thank the freaking maker. Not Reed Richards, but just the maker in general. Increase the energy cost of God of Mischief ultimate ability from 4,000 to 4,300. Not a big change. And if you play Loki well, you can still get it relatively quickly, but that needed to be nerfed because I am so tired of like the double healing ults or just like the double ults in general. This is a good change. I would have raised it to maybe 4,500, but that's all just because I find Loki so annoying that I would like him to not be able to do his things more often. But I'm happy that they did something. Mantis healing touch grows, and her ultimate is more potent, but its frequency is reduced. Healing flower, new effect. Heal allies by 2.5% per second. Reduce base healing from 20 per second to 12.5 per second. Okay. Alright. So, has a little bit more of a lingering effect, but won't do as much on contact. I think that's fine, because especially with like supports like Mantis needing to be more far back, sometimes to go around a corner, I think that makes sense. I actually do like that. Increase energy cost of Soul Resurgence from 3,700 to 4,300. That is 600. That is a lot. But increase bonus max health from 100 to 150. I do not think that increase is enough to justify the big jump from the ultimate ability, especially since her ultimate ability is not super effective in my opinion. I'm happy that they did this, but they should have done less of this. They should have done less. So some good and some bad. Ultron. Ultron's going to have to update his software. His defenses are taking a slight hit. He's a little less of a team player, which seems fine by him in this patch. Reduced dynamic flight acceleration, effect time from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. That's not going to change as much as you think, but okay. Reduced imperative firewall bonus health self from 75 to 65 and to allies from 55 to 50. I mean, his real big thing is the drone that does the constant healing, and this is going to require him to stay closer to the team, which is a good thing because now it is going to be easier to kill him. So that's actually a really good change for everyone fighting Ultron. Ultron mains aren't gonna love it. I see the plot though. I see the plot here. I don't play a ton of Ultron. I think he's fun, but support is my secondary role, not my primary. My primary is Vanguard. So I get this. I understand this. I think this is going to be a little controversial. But I think it's okay. It's not gonna break the character. I thought he was fine, right? He was powerful, but that's just because he's new. You know, give us time to figure out how to fight him, right? Which I guess we've had some time. So cool. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm not really leaning negative or positive on it. I'm kind of neutral on it. We'll see how it goes. Team up abilities. New Everburning Bond, Human Torch, and Spider-Man. With great friendship comes great firepower. Team up Anchor. Human Torch gains a 5% boost in damage output. Spider-Man locks a new Inferno Blast ability to team up with Human Torch. Again, this is going to be a problem. And if you want to have the complete boost for Human Torch, you have to play as Spider-Man, which is a problem because he's still kind of going to be permabanned, especially since he just got buffs. So this team up is not going to happen very often. But a flyer and a diver, that's an interesting combination. You are sacrificing having like the whole team be one strategy, which can be really powerful in some ways. So this does kind of make up for that. So I think all in all, it's kind of neutral, but I also don't think you're going to see it that much. I just don't think you are. You know, whatever, you know. Primal Flame, Phoenix and Wolverine, sticked, now with a side of Cosmic Fire. As a team of Anchor, Phoenix gains a 10% boost in damage output. She is going to be a menace with Wolverine on her team. She's going to be good without him, but she's going to be crazy with him. But now you have like a mid-range character and a close-range character, so you can kind of cover more parts of the team. I would make the same points with that as I did with this team up, so I'm not going to reiterate it. Wolverine gains the new Phoenix Warrior ability through his team up with Phoenix. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see it. These team up abilities are getting really strong, by the way. They're getting really, really strong, okay? Like, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be less of a problem, but with a good Wolverine and a good Phoenix, that, like, just those characters being on the field together, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be worse than these two, in my opinion, because both of these characters can be a real problem. Only Spider-Man can really be a problem here. Human Torch, we'll see. We'll see. Adjusted or removed, okay? Yep, ESU alumnus, that's fine, whatever. You know, Doreen's didn't really need Spider-Man anyway, and Spider-Man had to team up with Venom and stuff, and that's what he focused on. It was fun, but ultimately unnecessary. This won't be missed. Stark Protocol. Yes, Squirrel Girl joins this team up. New Squirrel Missile ability, not going to change much. They just put her in there because she lost it with Spider-Man. But again, Doreen's kind of stand on their own, Doreen being Squirrel Girl's name. So, like, this doesn't matter at all. I mean, it's going to make really good Squirrel Girls even more of a menace, but, like, they're already crazy. This is just a little extra crazy, so there's really not much to complain about. There's really not. Storming Ignition. Storm and Human Torch. The fire is out, and Storm is passed on this team up. Okay, that's fine, because, like, nobody ever played these two characters together. That's why they removed it. They're like, nobody's doing this. It's a really cool visual. I don't know how well it actually did damage-wise, because I didn't get to see it very often. I saw it, like, maybe once, you know? Symbiote Shenanigans. Venom, Jeff the Land Shark / Hela. The Gods of Death joins in on the shenanigans. Hela gains the Hell Tendrils ability through a team up with Venom. Again, it's not going to change much. It makes her slow thing a little more, so that ability is actually kind of useful now when it basically wasn't before. We still got to hit your shots pretty quickly. So, again, a diver with a sniper. They're like, okay, these team-ups are designed to make teams that don't have characters that really synergize in their gameplay still have a chance to beat those teams. This is very high level, like 1,000 feet in the air type balancing, and I'm here for it. I appreciate it, because I really want you to be able to play the characters that you enjoy and still win. Because here's the thing. Let's say you like Jeff, and somebody else likes Venom, and somebody else likes Hela. That team is not beating a team of Hulk, Venom, Wolverine, Black Panther, and whatever 2 healers you want. They're just not without a team-up ability, because like when you have that many characters doing the same thing, it's just overwhelming. So this is their way of saying, if you don't want to play an all dive team or an all poke team or an all flyer team, because we are slowly getting to the point where that's possible, right? You can still compete. So even though these dag-on team-ups are a problem, they are an answer to really dedicated gameplay strategies, right? And so it lets you still have fun and still be competitive. It really helps you to kind of shine as an individual player too. Even though it is a team game, sometimes you have to carry, and so this lets you carry, right? Oh, well, I like this character. I'm going to do the team up because I don't want to just do the whole dive team, so I'm not good in the dive characters. We can still compete. That's actually really cool. It's really good. So on its own, like in a vacuum, some of these things seem kind of ridiculous, but when you take it from the whole scope of the game, it's actually a really good way to balance everything. So I'm cool with all of this, even though like on an individual level or on a like case-by-case basis, some of this seems a little unnecessary, a little overpowered. In the whole span of the entire meta, it's actually pretty balanced. Balance changes. Speaking of balance, Guardian Revival, Adam Warlock, Star-Lord, Mantis, slightly reducing the user's coverage to team up as even the Guardians need to pace themselves, increase Leader's Soul and Nature's Soul ability cooldown from 120, extra 15 seconds. Alright, that's whatever. We don't see this team up that much anyway. I like it. This is a nothing burger to me. Symbiote Shenanigans, Venom, Jeff the Land Shark. We're slightly increased the power of Jeff's end of his team ability. Maximum Mayhem now with extra bite. Gives you Guardian Deep maximum bonus health from 50 to 100. Max Chundle Link period from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. That's fine because Jeff is annoying, but definitely is not as powerful since he took those hits. So it's cool that if you pick the team up, Jeff is going to get a little bit of extra TLC. So that is cool. So all in all, what do I think of all these changes? Well, first, let's say I think Jean Grey is going to be awesome. She's going to be even more powerful with the team up. Prepare to see a lot more Wolverines. Wolverines, I think, is going to get back into the permaban. It's not going to be Jean because she's new and people want to play her. Just like people weren't banning Ultron, they were banning Iron Man. They're going to start banning Wolverine again because of this team up. But she's going to be really powerful with the team up, so I'm looking forward to that. She's going to be strong. She's going to be strong without the team up, but I don't think she's going to be overpowered. All the buffs and balances, we just went through all of them. All in all, from a top-down view of the entire game and meta, and taking into account not just high rank, but mid-rank and low rank and quick play, I think all of these changes were necessary. They're hitting different parts, and I think it is going to make the game balanced overall. But that is the changes, y'all. We've got a lot to look forward to coming up to Season 3. That's really, really cool, and I think it's going to be balanced. I think it's going to be fun, and I don't think there's going to be any crazy shenanigans. Hopefully no strikes, right? I'm looking at you, support players, like Season 2. I think they're doing a good job with this one. These changes are a little more cautious, in my opinion. They don't want to make any big changes. I think they think the game's in a decent spot after the fixes they made in the middle of Season 2, right? The emergency stuff. But that's kind of where we're at. So, yeah. They're playing it kind of safe. But all in all, I do think most of these changes are really, really good. And so the game is going to be pretty balanced this season. It's going to be really fun. And we have a lot to look forward to. So, thank you so much for watching. We'll be watching live later. Appreciate you. Wait, we're not streaming. This is all going to be later. It's video on demand. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Game strong, live strong, and be as daring as a dinosaur. Peace out, and ignite the battle. Bye-bye.